Hey Jasmine, how you doing?
Hi Alicia, how are
Hi,
you
how you
today?
doing? Good.
Good. So it's been a while since we last spoke. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing much better than I was before.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah, I remember last time we spoke, you were explaining to me that you were going through this abusive relationship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm really glad to say I'm finally out of that relationship and I'm doing much better in my life now. So
that's good. Yeah, that's really great to hear. I'm proud of you. So how have you been doing then exactly? Like, tell me a little bit more.
I've been doing really good. Like last time we spoke, I wasn't really doing much with my life, but now I'm going to school.
Okay.
I'm going to get my own apartment and my daughter's doing good. She's going to be 5 already, so I'm really happy. I'm working. I'm doing
That's
everything
good.
that I wasn't doing before, so I'm doing really good
That's
right
good.
now.
So I hear that you're going to school now, and your job, and you have new things that are happening in your life. You're moving into a new apartment, which I'm sure that's exciting.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit like how you were able to get to that point, because I know before you were a little down and you weren't really at that point in your life. So tell me how you were able to reach to that point.
Well, I was really low back then when we first started talking, so I wasn't really going nowhere with my life. So I think what made me grow and realize that I had a change in my life was finally getting out of that toxic relationship that I was in.
Mhm.
So ever since I left all that negativity, I realized that I'm doing much better now. So
Okay.
I have positive people because my parents support me a lot. So
Okay, well that's good. So what you're telling me is that your parents were a big support for you to be able to move on from that relationship.
yes.
So how do you feel like, since that's something that you were, used to before, like how does it feel now being out of that relationship and being on your own? And
It
because I
feels
know that can be like a big change from
Yeah.
being used to something and now like you're moving on to better things and bettering your life and better for your daughter. So
it was something really hard for me because it was 9 years of my life that I decided to get up and go, and I had to focus on me and my daughter. So um, it was something really hard, but I think just having the support of my parents and knowing that I'm better
mhm.
and that my daughter deserved better, it was something that helped me get out of that hole that I was in.
Mhm.
So
Okay, so how were your parents able to help you to do?
they helped me a lot by watching my daughter for me.
Okay.
Being a full-time student and working full-time, it's not easy. And my daughter's used to being around like people who love her all the time because I was a stay-at-home mom before. So my parents, since they don't work, they get to help me a lot, and they watch her. As long as I'm going to school and working and bettering myself, then they support me.
They're able to support you. Okay, and how do you think that that's affecting Jolie right now? Since I'm sure that that's a change for her too. So how do you think, like, is she better now, or is her behavior different, or how is that affecting her now that you're moved on from that relationship and doing better for the both of you? Like how?
Well, before when I used to be living with her dad and we were always arguing and stuff, she was a real quiet kid. She was always right by me, like she could never leave my side. And I think it's just because she just wanted to make sure I was okay all the time. And now that I left that toxic relationship and now that I'm with my parents, I notice her now. She's in school. She's happy. She's around people who love her, so it reflects. So she's happy more all the time, and she just brings life to our home. She makes my parents feel young again because they're a bit older, but she just brings happiness. So she's just been really happy lately.
Okay, so if you can just kind of let's just kind of go back a little bit. I'm just gonna ask you. So how long again were you in this relationship again? You said
It was for 9 years.
9 years,
yeah.
right? 9 years, okay. And then let's see, what exactly started to make the relationship abusive? Like from what point? Like how many years in from that relationship? What did you see that it was starting to go the wrong way, or what made it abusive?
I think what got the relationship abusive was at a young age I had ran away from my home, so I moved in with him when I was a 16-year-old. So when you're a 16-year-old, you're just not old enough to realize like some things you're gonna make mistakes, and when you love somebody and you're old enough, you'll fight through those mistakes. But some mistakes just aren't. For example, when he would cheat on me, that's when things would get a little bit like bad, because we would get mad and fight, and then from fighting it just would get worse and worse. Or like if I didn't hurt myself, because when you get cheated on, you go through like depression, and you kind of figure like you feel like you're not good enough. So that's when I would start like hurting myself, and then once you don't love yourself, you just don't have respect anymore. So I think just not having respect for each other is what caused the relationship to go towards that abusive way.
Okay. And did you ever tell anyone that you were going through this, or was this just kind of something that you kept to yourself, or was between you and your significant other?
In the beginning, I wouldn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I would always be happy. I would always be, because at that time I was in school. I was in high school, so I would always come to school laughing. And when like bad things started to happen, nobody knew until I started physically hurting myself, and that's when people would notice and be like, what's happening? But I never said anything. But that's when my parents found out. That's when I had to tell them, because they were my parents.
So when it got to the point where you were physically hurting yourself, that was the point when you actually opened up to your family?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's how they ended up finding out that you were going through this abusive relationship?
I don't think they knew still that I was going through. Maybe they had a thought in their mind that, man, maybe things are going bad, but I think they just thought more of him cheating. That's why I was probably hurting myself, or me just not loving myself no more. But I never really told them like he would hit me until my daughter told them. So that's how they found out.
Oh, okay, so your daughter was the one that told them first.
Yeah.
And then, so since they told them, then they found out what was going on and came to you.
Yeah.
And then that was when you had to open up to them and let them know what exactly was going on. Okay. And then, so how did that affect your family when they found out? Like, what happened? Did they instantly say, "Oh, you have to move home," or like what happened after that?
Well, that's when they found out. Like when my daughter told them, that's when I had we had gotten into like a real big argument, me and her dad. So he actually called my mom and had told her to come get me and stuff, because he didn't want me there no more. And my daughter was crying. So when my mom heard her crying, she was just like, "Come home. I don't want you to suffer no more. Don't put my granddaughter through that." So that day I just got a little bag and I put some clothes and I went home. I came straight home. And when I came home, that's when I had already decided, like, I can't be part of that relationship. And that's when my daughter told, like, everyone. She went into the house and told everyone, like, "Oh, my mom and dad were fighting." And once that happened, I just knew, like, it wasn't, I already knew I wouldn't go back. And I'm glad she told my parents too, because that kind of made me realize, like, no, like, I really can't go back.
This needs to stop, yeah. So if, say your daughter would have never told your family, do you think that you would have been brave enough to open up to them and tell them? Like, would you have gotten out of that relationship, or do you think you would have still been in that situation if she wouldn't have told your parents?
I think, because we had kind of fought like a couple of times in front of her, and she was maybe too young, but I always know that she understood, because she would always be overprotective over me. But I think that day, like when I just finally got up and left, and I seen her cry, and like I just seen how much pain she had in her, I think seeing that just made me realize, like, I love her so much that I don't want to put her through that. And I just thought about, what if one day somebody did that to her? So after that, I was just like, no, like this isn't gonna be a life that I'm gonna have for my daughter.
So it wouldn't have mattered whether she told him or not. You knew that at some point that had to stop the whole situation. In
Yeah,
your
after
relationship.
yeah, after the last time, that's when I was just like, no, like I need to do better for myself.
And was the relationship abusive, physically, like emotionally? So, like, what was it that he did that was?
I think in the beginning it started off emotionally. You know, like I've always get like buried in weight. So in the beginning, he'd always even when I first met him, he would always call me fat or like play around in school and like make me feel bad. And then once we got into the relationship, you know, just with him cheating, I guess I would like he would always make me feel like other girls were better than me or if I wasn't good enough. So like emotionally, that you know that really it bothers you as a woman because it sucks not to feel good enough. And even after having like my daughter, you know, you think a man's gonna change and respect you because you're a mom now or you're the mother of his child, but no, it doesn't change. It stays the same. If anything, it probably gets worse because you know, adding a kid to something like a problem like that, it makes things harder because a kid isn't something that you know. Oh, it's so easy. It's something that a married couple, you know, should like. That's why they say like when you have a kid, get married and stuff because I don't think it'll make it easier, but yeah, like it's for both people, you know. And I think that's why it was hard for me to leave because I felt like, man, it wasn't fair. Like I felt like I don't deserve to be a single mom. Like I wanted her to have a family like I did. So
what you're saying is that that even though that you were moving on from this relationship, you still felt some kind of pressure or like it was all on you now because he was no longer in the picture, but